What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of The Spiritual Word. I'm your host, Jackie, and thanks for tuning in and tapping in. If you're a new or returning baby, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. I really appreciate you for being here. As always, before I start these, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research to come to your own conclusions, to make your own decisions, to have your own answers, and I believe in your ability to do so and to be your own person, as you've shown me by clicking on today's episode. And I already apologize for any noises in the background. I think I might have said that twice. I always say these disclaimers like twice. So, also, if you're new, I have an audio version of this podcast, and both of, anywhere you can find my podcast is going to be The Spiritual Word. And I have an audio version of this anywhere you can find audio podcasts, and I have a video version of the podcast on YouTube. And if science, spirituality, psychology, self-help, philosophy are things that you're interested in, then I recommend subbing or following whatever platform you're finding me on. And anyways, let's jump right into today's episode. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the law of assumption and what that means. So I feel like nobody really described this to me the way that my brain would grasp it. So I'm just going to kind of regurgitate the things that I've consumed from the law of assumption content and all these different creators that talk about the law of assumption and stuff like that. So everybody talks about the law of assumption as this kind of like a manifesting tool and blah 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 and whoop-de-doo. Which is, yeah, that is what it is. But I'm not going to overly complicate it, and I'm not going to make this super duper long just because yesterday's video was pretty long, or yesterday's episode was pretty long. So today's episode is going to be very short and clear and cut and to the point. So the law of assumption is basically assuming that you have everything that you wanted. Everything that you're trying to get is already here. And you have to assume that to be true, or like assume that it's coming to you. Assume that it's going to be here tomorrow. Assume that it's going to be here. And I don't even want to put a timeline on it, just because I feel like if you are really concerned with, I'm going to get it in a week, I'm going to get it in a month, I'm going to get it, blah, blah, blah. Don't put a time on it. Just because I feel like the more you put a time frame on it, and then you get to that point where like you're like, oh, I'm getting this in 2 weeks. Let's say you put 2 weeks as like the time frame, and then 2 weeks passes by and you don't get it in those 2 weeks. I feel like for some people that creates another blockage, or that creates like another period of your like, damn, this shit didn't come true. All this shit's fake. Like it creates a little bit more doubt, a little bit more friction, not for the sake of creating friction, but for the sake of like, the universe is going to give it to you when you're ready, not when you choose to just say you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, I can sit here like it's like a 5-year-old who's putting on high heels and makeup from their mom's, stuff. You can pretend to be an adult all you want, but this 5-year-old is not an adult. You know what I mean? You can't just fake it until you make it, because it needs to be coming from a real, authentic place. In a place of genuineness, and not even genuineness, but like realness. Like it has to be real. And not in the sense that like these things that you're asking for, they need to be realistic, blah, blah, blah. Because I don't believe in asking for realistic things, because all the things that I've ever asked for that I've received have never been realistic. And they will never continue to be realistic, because of the way that I choose to express my genuine self is to be so different that people don't like me. You know what I mean? So for that reason, you have to not put a time frame on your assumptions, because yeah, I get the point is that you assume something is coming to you, and then boom, it comes to you. And why can't I put a time frame on it? You could, if you really really believe that to be true. If you're already really good with the law of assumption, if you're already good at manifesting, then yeah, you could put a time frame on it. But I personally would not, just because I feel like the universe is kind of like, don't put me on a time limit. You wouldn't want to be told what to do, so don't tell the universe what to do, type of thing. Like, I'm that way, especially with, like my personality. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be bossed around. I don't like to be pushed around. I don't like to be hovered over. Like, that's not my style. I don't like that. And same thing goes for, like, I treat myself the way that, or I treat the universe the way that I want the universe to treat me. And that's also part of manifestation. You're creating this relationship with the universe so that the universe will help you out. You know what I mean? And you're helping the universe in return because the universe is trying to expand in every way, shape, and form. And that means living every single possible human life that it can. So your wants, your needs are always going to be met because it's part of the world's like want. It's part of the world's desire. It's part of the world's manifestation to actually experience everything that it wants to experience. So when you're asking for things, it's because the universe is like, I'm trying to expand over there, so you need to like that thing over there. And then it'll make somebody who likes that specific purpose. Like there's a billion people in this world who like the color blue. And then the world decided, okay, let's make other people who like green. Let's make other people who like red. Let's have different things. You know what I mean? Like there's differences there so that the world can expand. So with that being said, and for, the sake of going fast, also when I looked at the timestamp, it was 555, and that talks about change. So I feel like the law of assumption is not only about just assuming that you have the things that you want, but just assuming that you're going to get them, no matter what your reality is looking like right now. Like, you know that things are going to change, and it's going with the change. And I feel like that's why I saw the number 555, because 5 is the number of change in spirituality, and in numerology is the number of variety. And I believe 5 is the number in between 6, which is like a caretaking number, and 5 is like an adventurer number. Like, you're always on the go, you always want to go do shit, you're always trying to do different things, and blah, blah, blah. And so the law of assumption is that it's you being able to switch from, okay, everything, my routine is pretty routine. It's pretty like, I get up, I do the same things over and over and over. But you need to know with the law of assumption that things are gonna change. Maybe not immediately, not tomorrow. But you're okay with that. You're okay with that because you know that time creates change. And time is change. So you know that maybe 30 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, maybe 100 years from now, things will look different. Right? You probably won't be alive in 100 years unless you're really young, or unless you're really healthy. Like, unless you really take care of yourself. So that's what I mean by don't put a time frame on it and just allow the things to come to you. And something that I feel like a lot of people forget in the law of assumption is just allow this thing to come to you when it decides to come to you. And you'll be ready for it when it decides to come to you. Like, there's no time frame on it. And because of this, assume that it's happening now. Assume that your life is changing so fucking fast that it's happening right now as we speak. And assume that you're getting this thing really soon. Don't say when, just say soon. And just like I said, the law of assumption is you assuming that you have this thing. So just live on that vibration of like, oh, I know that I'm going to have this eventually. So like, I'm not going to trip on the fact that I don't have it. And that was one of the things that I unconsciously never knew. Most people unconsciously already do this. Like, for example, when I was a kid, everyone was like, like all my friends that were girls were like, I'm so excited to get married. I can't wait. I can't do this. I can't wait to do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, do you want to get married? Blah, 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 this and that. And I'm like, like, probably not. Like, I know eventually I'll probably get to that point in my life where I'm like, oh yeah, I do want to get married. But at this very moment in my life, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. And same thing goes for like, I'm 24 years old. So people ask me all the time, don't you want to have kids? Don't you want to have kids? And I'm like, probably eventually in the future. But if, like, it doesn't work for me, like if my future person doesn't want kids or can't have kids, because I'm not having kids, you know what I mean? Like, I am not having kids. But if they can't have kids, then I'll just adopt. Like, it's not something that's very, very urgent, and it'll come to me when it's ready to come to me. And right now, I'm at a very selfish point in my life where I can't even take care of my fucking self. Okay? So, all the people who are like, I just want kids. Can you even take care of yourself? Be honest with me. Do you take care of yourself? Mind, body, soul, wealth, abundance, all the different avenues that you can take care of yourself. Are you an expert in life? Probably not. So I would not want to bring in another life, especially if I don't know shit about this one. You know what I mean? Like, I barely know. I just got here. You know what I mean? Like, I can barely function. And you're telling me, do I want to bring another member into this society? Hell no. Hell no. You see how fucked up everything is? Like, the more populated the world is, I feel like the more fucked up it'll be, because you can put rules and regulations on anything, but it doesn't mean that people are going to follow those rules. And I feel like the more people there is to watch over, like the more people there is to take care of in a daycare center. Like if you were at one person in a daycare center, there's like 50 kids. It's gonna be a lot harder for you to like keep them in check. You know what I mean? And so I feel like the worse, or the bigger the population gets, the worse the population is gonna be. And not in the sake of like people. Like, I don't mean that people are gonna be pieces of shit, but I feel like more people are gonna get away with stealing, lying, you know, whatever the thing is. And because there's more people to watch over, the less things can really be regulated. You know what I mean? Like, you go to Walmart, you see a billion people stealing from checkout, from self checkout. You know what I mean? And that's not a world that I want to bring kids into. And there's kids already now who need a home, who need people who will love them for them. You know what I mean? Like, it always kind of pissed me off when people are like, why don't you have a kid of your own? Like, it's different. It's different. It's different. The only thing that I'm hearing is you're a piece of shit. And no hate, because that was a little bit hateful. But genuinely, like, I don't think it makes a difference, because I can love someone else's kid just as much as I can love my kid. You know what I mean? Like, my blood. What difference does it make if they're my blood or not? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of understand that, like, there's a difference within, like, the process of, like, being pregnant, but I'm already not gonna do that. So what difference does it make to me? You know what I mean? And I get it. It's different for other people, but like, you're not taking into account my life. And I also get it because I'm also not taking your life into account. Like, you had a kid. It came out of you, but my kid's not gonna come out of me, even if I wanted to have a kid of mine. You know what I mean? So like, it doesn't really matter. Take into account that I am a gay ass bitch. You know what I mean? So like, take that into account. Anyways, point made. So besides, the law of assumption just being like this thing that you assume you're getting, you just have to just kind of like not care about whatever you're assuming is coming to you. Like, for example, I was talking about marriage, like how all these girls in my friend groups would be like, oh my god, I can't wait to get married, blah blah blah, like have these really cute fantasies. And they'd always be like, are you excited to get married? Like, are you excited to do all these things? And I'm like, not really, just because like I really don't give a shit. Like, I'm not old enough to get married. I don't want kids at this age. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I'm really, really concerned about. And I feel like the more you're concerned about it before it's happened, the more you're kind of pushing yourself towards like, oh, but it's not here yet, and I'm so sad that it's not here yet. And you're pushing yourself more towards like sad, like the feeling of being sad. Because I could sit here and be like, in 30 years, I want to have this house and this car and this person and this and blah blah blah. But I'm still gonna be here and now. So, it's fun to fantasize about the future, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but for some people, it can really turn off their reality. Like, it can be like, I can't wait for in the future for me to have like my dream person, and then cry about the fact that I don't have them right now. You know what I mean? And some people do that. So I'm like, it's not bad that you do that, but for some people it's very discouraging and it doesn't work for them. So if you're using the law of assumption, just assume that in the future you're getting this thing, but don't trip that you don't have it right now. And if you're tripping that you don't have the thing that you want right now, that will continue to block it. Or if you don't believe that you deserve those things, which you do because you're alive, and nobody can set a rule on what you do and do not deserve. I was watching this documentary, or the Netflix series of the Jeffrey Dahmer series thing, and dude had a kid that loved him, full fledged, was in love with him, and he still killed him. So, like, if you feel like you don't deserve shit, I feel like I need to slap you with a newspaper, because get yourself in check and realize that you deserve the world and more. Especially if you're not over here dicking around. You know what I mean? Like, there's people who go out, steal, lie, cheat on their fucking spouse. There's people who murder. There's people who do really awful, awful things. And they're not sitting there worried about, I don't deserve the good in life. Because they're doing exactly what the fuck they want. So if you really don't feel like hot shit, I need to slap you because you're alive. Therefore, you're hot shit. Like, it's that simple. And I get it. Sometimes it's like trauma or stuff like that. You're like, my parents didn't love me. Well, fuck them bitches. You know what I mean? Like, fuck them. They're not here. They're not here anymore. Why are you still feeding their idea of you? Plus, the world doesn't have to like you. That's something that like I've been going through myself. The world doesn't have to like you. I don't have to get my mom's approval. I don't have to get my dad's approval. I don't have to get my sister's approval. I don't have to get my kids' approval. And this is how you live your life. You know, like I don't need to get my best friend's approval. I don't need to get my boyfriend or girlfriend's or partner's approval. I don't need anybody's approval but my own. And I feel like some people forget that. Some people forget that they are their own being. And like if you don't like the fact that I'm wearing these red glasses, like I could care less. You know what I mean? Like the people in the audio version of this don't get to see my face. And if they don't like my voice, it's very simple. They can just click off. You know what I mean? And I'm not like, for example, I know people who struggle with like they're scared to make whatever they want to make. Like I know people who are so musically inclined and I'm like, you should make music. Like you should honestly make fucking music or just sing. Like you don't have to make music, just sing covers of songs and post it online and I guarantee you'll get viral like that because one, you're beautiful, and two, you can sing. Like you have a talent, you have a skill that most people don't have. And I remember talking to like two of my close family friends. When we were kids, they used to always sing. Like that was their thing. They always sang. And as adults, they have really good singing voices, but they don't really do it as much anymore because it's not something that consumes their time. You know what I mean? Like now they have responsibilities, now they have stuff to do. And I'm like, can I write you guys songs and then you sing them and then send them to me? And they're like, yeah. And I feel like if I were to do that, I don't feel like they would actually go through with it because they'd be like, oh, I don't know, I can't, I don't know how to do this. And I get it, like, shit is hard. It's hard to believe in yourself, you know? Like, it's hard, especially if people are not there encouraging you. But fuck those people who aren't encouraging you, and the people who are encouraging you, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that doesn't matter. Like, if I hype you up, it doesn't matter. Because you need to hype yourself up at the end of the day. And I don't know where the self love is coming from, but I feel like one of you bitches need to hear this. And it is what it is. Love yourself. You're worthy of whatever you're trying to get. Use the law of assumption by assuming that you will have it in the future, sometime soon. And don't put weight on the fact that you're gonna get it. Don't be like obsessed with the fact that you're gonna get it or this thing. Like, let's say you're like, I assume that I'm getting $1,000,000 tomorrow or soon, right? No, tomorrow. We're getting this $1,000,000 soon. Don't be tripping on the fact that you don't have it now. And also don't be like, oh, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get that. I can't wait, 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 I can't wait. Because another thing that I realized is that if you're really, really obsessed with the manifestation itself, that can also create a blockage because of how much weight you're putting on it. And it could be through a multitude of different things. Like I remember hearing stories about how Ariana Grande used to talk to her high school classmates about like, I don't care what you think, I'm gonna be famous, blah blah blah, and how people didn't like her 'cause she was like, I don't care what you say, I'm gonna be famous, blah blah blah. And I feel like if you're over there like talking to people about it, it's gonna take longer. So I feel like that's another reason why you shouldn't obsess over it. Just because if you're obsessed with something, you're gonna want to talk about it all the time. And I feel like you shouldn't do that. You should just not care about it. Know that it's coming to you and just like be like okay with it and move on with your day and go do something else that you want to do right now. Like if the most exciting thing to do right now is go for a walk, then go fucking do that. If that's going to distract you from this manifestation, go do that. If taking a nap's going to help you, go do that. If writing helps you, if painting helps you, if singing helps you, if dancing helps you, if going to work helps you, if I don't know, going for I don't know, going to the gym helps you, do the things that help you. And with that being said, I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, and form. Always take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I'm not your life. I'm not your shoes. I am not you. So, always be the captain to your boat. Anyways, with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. And as always, I upload Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I was trying to think of, why did I say like always or as always? Anyways, thanks for tuning in and tapping in. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.